Hello, everybody, and welcome to News of the Week, episode number 15 on the Seahawk Recap Show with your host, Ryan Koki. How are we all feeling after week 10 in the NFL? Well, as a Seahawks fan, I'm feeling okay about it. A nice win to have the win, but man, Commanders are something else. The Commanders, man, they're a scary team. So it was a hard fought win, but when you're a Seahawks fan, you expect hard fought wins and some high blood pressure. But anyways, before I continue on too much, if you like this video, please consider giving it a like as it helps out the channel more than you will ever know. And if you really liked it and would like to see any future content from this channel or me in the future, I would highly recommend subscribing so you don't miss out on a future upload. And let's get right into the video, shall we? And I called it Rant Week because I want to discuss a few things. I want to discuss a few things about injuries, and I want to discuss some drama that has happened with the Buffalo Bills. But we'll get into that later on in the show. Let's get to recapping week 10 like we do every show. And let's start off with the week 10 buys. So the Chiefs had a bye at 7-2. The Dolphins had a bye at 6-3. The Rams had a bye at 3-6. And the Eagles had a bye at 8-1. We start off the week of week 10 on Thursday Night Football. And it's the Bears versus the Panthers. Honestly, what a snooze fest, because these two teams are not competing for playoff spots, but it was a 16-13 win for the Bears on Thursday Night Football, and they're now 3-7. Nice to see from Jason Bajent getting another win for the Bears. For the Panthers, 1-8. This again is a bad season for you guys, just for both teams in general. This win really doesn't mean much. The only thing that it means is that it's experience for the players out on the field, and it's also just to get a better draft pick. But for the Panthers, you guys, I don't know what to say about you guys. Every week, you guys just keep on losing, and this is a very bad season for you guys. And sadly, you do not have a 2024 first round pick because you gave that up to the Bears. I hope you guys get stronger, and I hope this season you'll come back in 2024, 2025 to prove that this season was just a fluke. For the Bears, just keep on winning. It keeps morale up, and you guys are probably going to get the first overall pick anyways. So just keep on having fun. The pressure is kind of off you guys for this season. Next up, we have the Patriots versus the Colts, a 10-6 game. The Colts win it out, and very low scoring. These games in week 10 especially have been very low scoring games. Like, there are only a couple here that are really high scoring. Good win for the Colts. Honestly, 5-5 isn't too bad after losing Anthony Richardson really early on in the season. You guys being at a 500 record is a very nice job. Again, this gives more experience to first year head coach, and you guys have a bright future because you guys are super young. So I can't wait to see what you guys do for the rest of the season. For the Patriots, this is just another season where you guys have lost the plot. 2-8. Honestly, you need to fix your offense because it has been worse this year than any years prior without Tom Brady in them. So you guys really need to go back to the drawing board and figure out why your systems aren't working. Ravens versus the Browns, and it was a 33-31 win for the Browns, and 3-7 for the Ravens. Not too bad. You're not going to win every single game in the NFL because of the competitiveness, and you're in the AFC North. So good win for the Browns. 6-3. Again, a couple more wins, guys, and you could be top of your division. You guys have really been a scrappy team. This was a very entertaining game, and it's really nice to see that you guys are slugging out wins. Speaking of slugging out wins, it's the Steelers versus the Packers next up. 23-19 Steelers win. And by every single analytic metric on this offense for the Steelers, having a point differential of, I believe, -30, I believe it was last time I checked. Correct me if I'm wrong. Those might not be the proper stats, but in any case, I don't know what kind of dark magic Mike Tomlin has to just rattle off wins with an offense that has just been completely just stale. Honestly, it's been a really weird season for the Steelers, and I can't believe they're 6-3. For the Packers, 3-6 on the season. Not the season you guys wanted for sure. And you know what? This is just a learning experience. This is a lost season for you guys. Figure out what you want to do for 2024, 2025, because you guys are better than this. I know you guys are better, and maybe it's time for a little bit of a rebuild or at least a retool. Next on the list, we have the Jaguars versus the 49ers, a 34-3 win for the 49ers, and they're back, okay? After a 3-game skid, they come back off of a bye week and they completely smother their opponent in Jacksonville. You know, you're not going to win every game. You're on a little bit of a slump, but again, this team is just so good. Kyle Shanahan is such a good coach. And honestly, with the amount of firepower that this team has, with the amount of explosiveness that this team has, it's only fair that they come off of a bye week after a 3-game skid and completely stomp their opponent. For the Jaguars, this is a tough loss, but you're still top of the AFC South. So just come back in week 11 and bounce back. It's one loss. You guys can come back from it. And you guys have been playing really good this season. So keep on going and try to solidify yourself at the top of the AFC South. Next on the list, we have the Vikings versus the Saints. It's a 27-19 win for the Vikings, and it looks like Josh Dobbs is a god. 2 games started for the Vikings and 2 wins. They're now 6-4 on the season. And again, they could catch up to the Lions and take that seed away. They could take that first seed away from the Lions right now. So keep on pushing. For the Saints, though, 5-4. And you guys need to pick things up because you guys might be a playoff team at the end of the day. You might win this division in the NFC South, but honestly, losing to a QB that doesn't know the system quite yet is really, really embarrassing. So you guys need to figure out what went wrong in this game and bounce back in week 11. Next on the list, we have the Bengals versus the Texans. 30-27 Texans win. 5-4 on the season. That's a winning record for the Texans right now. I like the Texans. I like what they've done this year. I love D'Amico Ryan. I thought he should have been head coach last year, so I'm really happy for him. CJ Stroud has been having a phenomenal rookie season. One of the best rookie seasons for a QB that I've seen in a bit. Keep on winning and you can make the playoffs. Let's see if you get the win in week 11. For the Bengals, 5-4. You guys are in a tough division in the AFC North. So, you know what? You guys need to not make any more mistakes because if you do, you're not making the playoffs this year. Hopefully, you guys will bounce back in week 11 as well and continue your winning ways. The Buccaneers versus the Titans, 20-6. Buccaneers win. 4-5 now, close to 500. Not too bad, and a nice win for them. For the Titans, use these losses. I know it sucks to always lose, but use these losses as learning moments for your team going forward because we know you're going to have to go to rebuild sooner rather than later. So just use these losses as learning experience for Lil Levis, and I think you guys will have a bright future. Next on the list, we have the Chargers versus the Lions, a 41-38 win for the Lions. That was a close one. And for the Chargers, man, 4-5 record. And you guys haven't actually looked terrible this season. Like Keenan Allen is a top 5 wide receiver in terms of yardage this season. You know, it's an enigma because you guys are good on stats wise, but you still have a losing record. So there's still something going on there. And honestly, I think Ryan Staley, if he doesn't get his stuff together, if he doesn't try to push this team in the playoffs, he's out of there as LA Chargers head coach. So sucks to see you guys lose, but hopefully you guys will bounce back in week 11. For the Lions, just keep salting away your wins because you guys have got now somebody that's going to possibly challenge you. If you guys just keep winning, you'll be in the playoffs before you know it. Next on the list, we have the Cardinals versus the Falcons, and this was a welcome back gift for Kyler Murray, a 25-23 win for the Cardinals. 8-2 on the season. You know what I'm going to say? You guys are rebuilding. I've said this every week. Just keep on going and keep on trying to make some wins happen because you could play spoiler for some teams down the stretch. For the Falcons, 4-6 now. You guys keep just slipping away. Your playoff chances every week, every time you lose, keep slipping away. Hope you bounce back in week 11 because if you don't and you fall even further now down to 4-6, but if you fall to 4-7, that could be it for your playoff hopes, potentially. Next up, we have the Cowboys versus the Giants, and it's a 49-17 win for the Cowboys. And weird for the Cowboys, you guys honestly, every time I see you guys win, you win in a big bunch, 40 plus points. But every time I see you guys lose, it's just like your offense kind of disappears. So good win for the Cowboys, and I can't wait to see what you guys do in the playoffs. For the Giants, again, with every loss, this season just gets worse, but you guys have had a really bad run of luck as of late, losing your two starting QBs, it's quite hard, but hopefully you guys will come back stronger in 2024, 2025. Just write this season off as a fluke and come back stronger. Seahawks versus the Commanders. It was a 29-26 win for the Seahawks. Nice bounce back. 6-3. If you would like to see my full reaction to this game, it is on my channel in the Seahawks game recap playlist. I would recommend going to give that a watch because that is my reaction. Those are kind of my strong thoughts and feelings. Next, we have the Raiders versus the Jets and the winning ways of the interim head coach of Antonio Pierce. Just keep on going. 500 now for the Raiders, winning over the Jets 16-12. For the Jets, man, I don't know. I don't know what's happening, but hopefully you'll come back in week 11 and get to 500 again. Last but not least, we have the Bills versus the Broncos, a 24-22 win for the Broncos on Monday Night Football. Don't look now, but the Broncos are on a 4-game winning streak. And Sean Payton, you wanted the team to be a playoff team. Well, this is how you do it. You keep rattling off wins. You guys have now seemingly put things together. And if you can just keep rattling off wins and keep rewriting wrongs of this past season, you guys will be just fine. For the Bills, 5-5 now for a powerhouse in the AFC. To be at 500 is very weird to me, but I will discuss the Bills more in depth later on in the show. We get to the week 10 IR report, and let's start off with something that I've said multiple times. It's Quan Alexander, linebacker, placed on IR November 13th with a torn ACL. He's out for the season. And it seems like every time I get on to the injury report, the IR report, there's always got to be someone with a torn ACL or a torn Achilles. It just never stops. I wish Quan Alexander all the best in his speedy recovery to the field in 2024, 2025. We get another middle linebacker, and it's Leighton Vander Esch. And again, a couple weeks ago, I believe in week 5, he had a neck injury, and he has the same neck injury here. He is now out for the season, and his career could be in jeopardy, according to Jerry Jones. He was out for 4 to 6 weeks last time, and to hear he's out for the season now and his career could be in jeopardy, that is never something you want to ever hear as a football fan. I like Leighton Vander Esch. I think he's a very underrated linebacker, but honestly, man, if your career is in jeopardy, honestly, I think maybe it might be time to retire if you can't get back fully 100% to the field because you can never be too careful with your health. I wish Leighton Vander Esch all the best in his recovery. If he can come back to the field, great. But if this is his last season, it's been a heck of a ride, and I've loved watching you play. Deshaun Watson is the next on this list. He was placed on IR November 15th with a broken shoulder bone. So, yeah, that lingering injury that Deshaun Watson has been battling all season in his throwing shoulder. Yeah, it turns out he broke his shoulder bone. So he's out for the season and will need surgery to repair it. Doran Thompson Robinson will start versus the Steelers. I wish Deshaun Watson all the best in his recovery from his injury. Now we get to the rant portion of the video. and it's my thoughts on NFL injuries. First off, let me start by saying I love the NFL. I love the intensity of the game, and I don't want players to stop hitting as hard as they can because it really is what I love about the game, the intensity. However, this season in particular has been brutal in terms of not only injuries, but season ending injuries. I can't tell you how many times in News of the Week that I've gotten to the IR report or I've prepped for it and have had to mention the words torn Achilles or torn ACL. Now, with Leighton Vander Esch out for the season and having his career potentially in question, I am now remembering back to all the players that have been taken out of the game because of the career ending injury. Andrew Luck is a perfect example. He had multiple injuries and he had to be taken out of the game. RG3, potentially one of the best generational talents, taken out by knee injury. Sony Michel, more recent, he left the game at 28. Corey Davis, another one, 29, 30. He left the game this most recent season, and many others. It's insane to me because a select few people have mentioned that the league has gone soft with some of the rule changes, in particularly with roughing the passer. People have said, "Oh, well, we can't touch the quarterback now. We can't hit the quarterback. We can't hit wide receivers like we used to. You know, this game has gotten so soft. Make it flag football and things because people aren't allowed to play defense. We're not allowed to hit people anymore." But remember that these rules are implemented because of safety concerns. Again, we have so many injuries, so many undiagnosed concussions. We know what CTE is now. We're aware of that. We've spent millions and millions of dollars, if not billions, in medical staff. Like it's insane. So people that are saying that this sport has gotten soft, yeah, it might have gotten softer because in the earlier years of the NFL, we didn't have this much medical data on how many concussions the player has in a season. We don't have this much more broader spectrum of how the NFL has to deal with injuries now. And now we have the information to say, yeah, maybe, making big hits to the head is not great. Maybe, protecting people that are getting hit and making sure that their longevity, of their career will stay perfectly fine is something that we should look into. I can't offer a solution to stop the amount of injuries that have been happening, but from a perspective of an NFL fan that never likes to see players hurt, the NFL needs to make sure that they replace the turf fields with natural grass. I have said this multiple times on this show. The amount of non-contact injuries that have happened this season, there are 6 starting QBs that are out for the season because of non-contact injuries. It's insane. They need to make the commitment to natural grass. I don't care how many billions of dollars it'll take, but I'm pretty sure that the return on investment, you will make a crap load of money more investing in natural grass because your players will be on the field for much longer because they won't have to deal with a torn ACL or a torn Achilles. Also, they need to make sure that every NFL player is ready to go and 100% before they step on the field. That means no rushing concussion protocol and making sure that every NFL player goes through extra testing before they can go back on the field. I cannot tell you how many times that I've heard about players that have gone on to into the game and have re-aggravated their injuries from the week prior because they were not 100% ready to go onto the field and then they hurt themselves even more. Pat Fryermuth, for example, he was injured, he got taken out of the game, then came back a week later and was placed on IR. That is insane. I don't care if the players think they are 100%. The medical staff on these teams, they do an amazing job, but they need to make sure that even if the player thinks they're ready to go, they need to actually make sure from a medical perspective that they are ready to go. You know, um, I'm thinking about hits from, I believe it was last season, Tua. Tua got hit in the head, got into concussion protocol from one of the Packers games earlier in that season. And then he came back a week later into the Buffalo Bills game, cleared concussion protocol, and literally couldn't stand. He literally couldn't stand on his own 2 feet. He was still wobbly. He should have never been in the game to begin with. The team doctor did get fired after that incident, and that is a good thing. But even getting to that point of allowing somebody to be 100% clear and then letting them onto the field when they're visibly not ready to go onto the field is blasphemous. I'm thinking about a recent game as well where the Vikings, Brock Purdy got put in concussion protocol and he was taken out of concussion protocol a week later to play against the Bengals. And I don't think he was ready to go. I didn't watch the game, but just from hearing what happened in the game and watching some of the highlights, Brock Purdy threw interceptions that I don't think he would have ever made if he was 100% ready to go. Yeah, anyways, those are just some options, man. Like people need to understand that the reason why the game has gotten softer, quote unquote, is we have all this information. We have more information. That's why in the Seahawks game versus the Commanders this week, Emmanuel Forbes of the Commanders got ejected for a helmet-to-helmet hit. He went to go hit Tyler Lockett, got helmet-to-helmet, and got ejected for it because Tyler Lockett went into concussion protocol. Do I believe the ejection was warranted? I understand why they did it. I don't think it was warranted, but it was definitely something of like, you probably should be reprimanded for that. And getting ejected is the way the NFL wants to do it. They want to protect defenseless players in those situations. Even if, because I've heard a lot of people say, oh, the NFL doesn't know what momentum is. Well, that's the thing. We need to teach players to not lead with their head. Always, if you're going to do it, lead with the shoulder. Accidents do happen. I understand that. It's a contact sport, but you need to understand how to tackle properly. Wrap around the waist. If you can't wrap around the waist, then lead with your shoulder. We need to stop the amount of injuries and stop saying, oh, the NFL stopped because they made some rule changes, because they're just trying to do it for the betterment of the sport. Next on the list, and the final thing on the show that I wanted to talk about, was the Buffalo Bills slash Trevon Diggs drama. I wanted to talk about this topic on the show today because honestly, it's been all over my timeline this past week after the Bills lost to the Broncos. To be honest, I feel it's quite dumb for Trevon Diggs to dig up drama and try to stir up controversy. Honestly, him saying, oh, number 14 needs to get out of Buffalo, da-da-da-da-da. Josh Allen is not good without Stefon Diggs. That's not true. I think they're both have proven to be beneficial to one another in their careers. Without the other, they probably wouldn't be looking as good as they have. But the Bills have been awful this season, and Josh Allen hasn't looked great at all. With only 10 touchdowns and 12 interceptions this season, which has definitely not helped matters, I think that's why the Bills are losing. I don't think, honestly, it's all Josh Allen's fault. I think he needs to play better, and he has said as much. But the Bills have been dominant for the past 3 years. They are a top contender in the AFC to be in the discussion for potential Super Bowl winners. The Bills have now fired offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey. So remember, in 2018, you have Brian Dable as your OC until 2021. Okay. That was a 3-year stretch where you guys made the AFC championship game. So you guys are going through a bit of a rough patch right now because Brian Dable isn't there. And Josh Allen did take accountability when OC Ken Dorsey was fired, because he said, if I just played better, if I didn't make as many mistakes, he would still have a job. Now, with the firing of Ken Dorsey, you've got interim offensive coordinator Joe Brady coming in, and that could potentially turn things around. So there is going to be some growing pains when you're looking at a new offensive scheme. I just think the players will take some time to get used to it. If they take this season and get used to it and nothing else changes, then that's great. Then they can just write this season off, say, okay, we had a really bad season because of injuries. We had a really bad season because, we had to think of a new offensive scheme, that kind of thing. And they can come back stronger in 2024, 2025. You guys have also been dealing with a bunch of injuries to star players. Tre'Davious White and Matt Milano on defense, those are an insane 2 players to lose. That's your best corner and your best linebacker. So you have gone through some things this year. So it's not all on the offense, and it's certainly not all on the defense. It's just you're having a bad year. You're having a rough patch. And that's what happens. You can't stay at the top of your division for many, many years to come. That's just not sustainable. You're going to have a hiccup along the way. So as I talk to Bills Mafia here, I wouldn't panic about this season. I would write it off, say, yeah, pretty bad season, really sucks, but we can come back stronger in 2024, 2025. That is it for the Seahawk recap show. News of the week, episode number 15. And I hope you enjoyed it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the rants too, because these are just some issues that I find very important. If you did, please consider leaving a like, and please consider subscribing to the channel if you really liked it and would like to see any more future content from me. And I will see you on Monday for the Seahawks game recap when the Rams take on Seattle in week 11. Let's see if we can get the win there and improve to 7-3 on the season. Go Hawks, go! This is Ryan Koki of the Seahawks Recap Show signing off.